Good evening, everybody. This is your host, Huge Pop from the Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast. How are you guys doing tonight? Tonight, I am blessed to have a young man that's debuted in June 24, started training in March. He says he's the fastest person through the training center where he came from. His finishing move is the Ripcord Spear, who he actually created that move as himself. He runs a nutrition shop. He's a former top-ranked mixed martial arts superstar in the Midwest. His name is the ring. Name is the Apex, top of the food chain. Welcome to the show, Matt Stoffel, the Apex. Hope I got that name right.
Oh yeah, said it perfectly. Thank you.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So how you doing tonight, man?
Just living life, man. How about yourself?
Living the dream, bro. I can tell you that.
Well, I appreciate you having me on.
Hey, I appreciate you coming on. We got a fan already popping in. You'll know this lady, Gina.
Gina. Hey, how you doing?
I call her the biggest Illinois wrestling fan ever.
That might be the truest thing I've heard all day.
Oh, I'm just saying. Thank you, Gina, for coming on. She's a big supporter. She's a supporter of Johnny Cass, Sin, all those boys up in the Illinois area. So they're Illinois territory. So I'm sure you've seen her around. So yeah, thanks for shopping on this podcast, Gina. Look, appreciate you. Apex, thank you for taking time out of your schedule and coming on here. So let's get right to it, man. So were you just like every other young person watching TV and you're like, man, there's wrestling. So can you walk us through the journey of as a kid, as a fan?
So I actually thought about this recently too. And I can't pinpoint the exact moment that I became a wrestling fan, but I do remember Sting and Hulk Hogan headlining some pay-per-views at WCW. Yeah. And then next thing you know, I'm watching Nitro every week. I'm watching Thunder. Honestly, I didn't even get to watch WWF till probably the Attitude Era was in full go.
Okay.
Is something my parents didn't let me do until the merger happened. It was weird, but I knew everybody. I get to stay up late just to watch the Goldberg matches. Be honest, that was kind of one of the biggest eye catchers. I know that's kind of like a hot button for most people in this business. But at the time, as a kid, I was the audience that man was going for. And that aura around him at the time was definitely drew me in. It was just
mom and dad.
So cool. Hello, everybody.
My dad just popped in. Gina's in the house. That's the Attitude. Oh, not the Attitude Era was a good era to come into, but WCW, man, that was just some good
late
stuff.
90s. WCW was some of the best wrestling I think I've ever seen.
My favorite part of it, of course, this is gonna be cliche or whatever, is NWO. I loved Scott, Kevin Nash, Sting from the rafters, Hogan.
Now, fun story when I got into that.
Okay,
I never knew Hogan was a good guy.
No,
some people, I had to go down history of my dad to show me what Hogan was before that. Because when I started watching wrestling, he was already the black and white Hollywood Hulk Hogan.
Okay. No, when I started watching wrestling, it's Saturday night's main event with Hogan against King Kong Bundy, Andre the Giant, Lex Luger. Matter of fact,
Luger, that was a good one.
Sid Vicious, man. Remember Sid?
That dude was crazy.
I'll tell you a story when my dad's on the podcast. So I'm gonna tell the story, and it's an old story. He might not remember this one, but my brother, who's 12 years younger than me, snuck into my room on a Saturday night's main event. My dad and mom said he can't watch that, and I'm like, man, come on, and we watched it, and of course, remember Sid Vicious? He goes, "Ooh, what's that smell? I smell the power bomb." Right, so we're trying to be quiet and stuff, and he's supposed to not be in my room, whatever.
Yeah,
I picked him up, put him on my shoulders, and I gave him the power bomb. The thing is, he didn't keep straight. He kicked his feet up.
Oh, okay.
Took out the light fixture that was hitting the ceiling, busted it all over. It made a loud noise. Guess who shows up at my door? My dad. Guess who got his butt chewed? Me.
Yeah.
And we went on from there. So that's
I
the story
mean,
I have with.
the most I've ever done is pedigreed my brother,
Okay.
and
Well,
I forgot to let go of his arms,
okay. Yeah.
so he ate the ground pretty
There
hard.
you go. So would you say your favorite promotion, even when you started watching the Attitude Era, would you say your favorite promotion was still WCW or was it WWF after you got to watch it?
So since Goldberg was my favorite guy, it was still WCW. And then when the merger happened, of course, that was when I really started watching the WWF more when they were that. And they that's when I started really knowing The Rock. I met The Rock in '98. I met
Okay.
Vader. I met Triple H. I met Shawn Michaels. I got to meet all these guys. Super nice dudes. Except Vader. I'm not going to incorporate in there. I think he passed away, right?
I
Rest
think so.
rest in peace to him. But not a very fan friendly guy.
Okay.
Some guys in the business, it's just how it happens.
Right. Right.
But I did love that time of the era, the merging of two ideals coming together, and they were getting to that point where it was not as bad. I mean, we all saw Sable's swimsuit in that competition. That was probably one of the reasons why I was not allowed to watch WWF at the time. But all my
Um,
buddies were watching Austin. I'm watching Goldberg. So I mean, I'll take it though. It was still a fun time to watch. I mean, some of those guys that Sting going in, and then when they kept going back and forth,
yeah.
you start watching the other industry business, and you disappear for a little while, and now you got Chris Benoit and Jericho on WWF. I'm like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, weren't those guys in WCW? And not even
Right.
thinking at the time how the business worked. So yeah, just watching them across. I still think to me though, WCW was still my favorite product growing up.
Then this question shouldn't be that hard for you. It's a
Okay.
tricky question. Don't think too hard about it. But
Okay.
who is the greatest WCW champion ever?
To the part of me would want to say Goldberg, but he wasn't. He just wasn't. He was exactly what I wanted him to be as a hero, but just wasn't there. Hogan would be an easy answer. To be honest, I'm going to go with Sting. Um,
David Arquette.
oh God! I mean, it was so out of there with that one. Ready to Rumble, still one of my all-time favorite movies of all time. We quote that at the training center all the time. I will tell you that at one of my battle royals, one of the guys that loved the business so much, I actually, when I speared him in the ring, I told him his 5 minutes was up to piss off. So, and then I kicked him out of the ring. So that was
Yeah.
funny.
Well, I thought since you were a WCW guy, David
You
Arquette.
were gonna go, yeah. No, I'm going down the list on there, and
I mean,
Sting was
I'm
my
letting you,
guy.
and I'm letting you. You know, I
Oh
just want to
man,
say thank you to Apex for inviting me to my first SCW wrestling show. Yes,
yes, Gina got to go, and we were happy to have her there. It was great having a fan like that, and she made some new connections, and we're happy to have her there, part of the SCW family.
longtime friend of mine growing up. Paul Wolfran. He says Hogan's his favorite WCW guy. Thanks for
I know.
coming on the show, Paul. I appreciate it. You have a wonderful family. I got the chance to talk to his son, who is a minor league pitcher for the Texas Rangers. So that was a
Ooh,
good
that's a
show.
good one.
That was that last Friday. That was a good show. So if anyone want to
Okay.
go back and watch that, that was great stuff. So.
I mean, does he get a ring? Because then they win this year, right?
No,
The
he didn't
Rangers.
because the miners don't give the ring to them.
Just give
So
something to the minors, just because you're in
I
the
know, right?
system.
I know, right? So now we're going through you're a fan and stuff like that. Who inspired you to become the professional wrestler?
um, that definitely was a mixture of like Goldberg, Sting, seeing how he was. Goldberg was my biggest, and it's just because of how he interacts with the fans. When I heard him talk and how he'd stay after, he'd be there for the fans, kids were his thing. I literally looked at my parents as a kid and I was like, I want to do that. I want kids to look at me the way I look at him, and other inspirations outside of that. One of the big things that I don't know who I am today without Jason David Frank. I don't know if you're friends with Power Rangers, Ray. He rest in peace.
Yeah,
The Green Ranger was the one that put me into martial arts in general and get me the idea and looking into anything combat related, anything physical. And he really inspired me to do that. Hearing how Goldberg was to his fans and his people, seeing the work ethic of Sting, going down through the history. I I knew that's something I wanted to be, and I was made fun of a lot talking about it growing up. While most kids were in there, like, I want to be a firefighter, I want to be an astronaut and everything. I looked every one of my teachers dead in the face and said, I'm going to be a professional wrestler.
Nice.
And it took me a little longer to get here, but the journey is what made me who I am. And I think that's why I am. Is getting through this so quickly and rising through the ranks, especially in the Midwest area for the Indies.
So now MMA must have came first then.
MMA came first purely by accident. While
Okay.
I was in martial arts growing up, I could not find a wrestling place. I could not find a school. I didn't know of any. I didn't know anybody really in the business at the time. I met some people a few years later in like Billy Whack. He invited me to his school when he was getting that started, and I had just started taking off in MMA. And I told him, I was like, "Look, man, it's a big thing for me. It's a dream. I think I'm gonna go with this MMA route now and see where this goes." Because I was gonna wrestle in college. I found an MMA gym because those were like everywhere, every corner had one. And fast forward 15 years after I got started in all this, um, I find out that there's literally were schools in my backyard for training wrestling. So kind of wish I had known that and got to start this a little sooner, but that definitely it's time. Life's about timing, and I think we're at the right spot.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about your MMA career. Then we'll get into your wrestling career. Is this training routine any different as an MMA fighter than as a professional wrestler? So can you walk us through what the differences are in your routine of that?
Yeah. So, and I know some wrestlers probably gonna be upset about this, but honestly, the training nowadays, I don't know how it was way back when. This pro wrestling training to me, while it is intense, it does hurt. There's a lot of cardio. There's a lot to learn. Uh, the MMA training is on another level, and I think that's why I'm able to get through this a little easier than somebody just walking in off the street that says, "Hey, I'm an athlete." The MMA stuff, we're learning something different every night. I trained up at the Midwest Training Center in Schaumburg, Illinois. These guys dominate the Midwest region. We got guys going up to the UFC all the time. We got guys getting Bellator. This is the place if you're trying to learn how to fight. Clay Guida was the one that got me to go there. My grandma stumbled upon that place 17 years ago, and boom, there we go. But on each night's categorized. We have multiple classes. You can take multiple classes. You're there 2, 3 hours, maybe even 4, doing different styles, doing your jiu-jitsu, working on your stand-up. When you get to the MMA side of it and gonna compete, Monday night was wrestling for us. It's an hour and a half of just straight amateur style wrestling, beating each other down. Tuesday night we sparred for 2 hours. Wednesday night we did jiu-jitsu rolling for 2 hours, whether it's ground and pound or just the jiu-jitsu. Thursday again, sparring with takedowns. Friday night is kind of like an open night, and Saturday morning was pure MMA training. Full MMA rounds. You're practicing with little gloves. You're punching, your takedown, your submissions. Everything's wrapped in. This is the day to practice to fight. Sundays are the only days off. So I was training 6 days a week for 2 to 3 hours, and that's not including weights. That's nothing. That's just the MMA stuff. And when I got to pro wrestling, it's 2 days a week. Remember, these people. Everyone's got jobs. Everyone's got lives. We're trying to get better. I could train every day if I could. If I had that ability, I had access to a ring every day, I'd be in it. Don't worry about the bumping. Just trying to get going. And it was, you see a lot of standing around. There's a lot of take turns in pro wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
In the MMA gyms, you're nonstop for those 2 hours because you have to make it through a 25-minute match of another human being with the same training, the same ideas, trying to execute their strategy.
Right.
I always was a skinny dude. I looked skinny. I was strong, but I looked skinny. And I told people all the time, like, I'm not here to lift weights. I'm not here to move a plate that can't move back. Come and find me when you learn how to move a human being who is giving that different resistance. It's not just a 145-pound bar giving you resistance. It's a 145-pound bar pushing 145 on you when you're the one doing the same thing. So the training is it's a lot more intense, but it got me into a spot where I'm able to finally come into pro wrestling and realize, okay, I know my body language way more than I would have just walking in off the street. And I think that does help a lot, is learning what your body does, learning mechanics that I wouldn't have learned outside of it.
Wow, that's awesome, man. Thanks for that. That difference. Thanks for showing the difference in there. So in your MMA fighting stuff, can you describe to us your most memorable victory and who it was against and what it meant to you?
All right, I might get emotional on this one. Just heads up. Um, so I'm gonna give you a little backstory here first.
Okay.
My daughter is 5 years old. So 5.5 years ago, I was in my car, and my car was hit by a semi truck.
Wow.
Car damage. I was able to walk that day. Next day, clicked in on me. I had vertebrae out of position. Was in a lot of pain, and I was told that even with physical therapy, that I needed to retire from MMA, retire from all sports, that I would never be the same again. Um, I worked my ass off for over a year through physical therapy, got back to my gym, and I immediately started showing signs that we were back into business. I trained for almost an entire calendar year, and I finally I got a fight last. It was supposed to be last December, 2022, and I actually, the opponent, I broke my finger 6 weeks before the match,
Oh,
and I healed up in four. Surprisingly, I was ready to go in four, and I was still ready for the match. My opponent backs out. I'm like, okay, that sucks. Move the date. Still no opponent. We got somebody for actually this past February 2023, and this kid came down from Minnesota. He's up and comer, um, and he agreed to fight. He's fought someone my age before. He's beaten a guy my age. I was in my 30s. Once again, everyone's telling me to wrap it up. Um, Almost had him in the first minute, 30 seconds,
okay.
and he came back, and we wound up going all 3 rounds. I got to win that fight via unanimous decision, and the surreal moment of never thinking I would make it back. I had been trying comebacks for years. I'd been out of the cage for 7 years due to personal reasons and just starting my family, getting things rolling, and to hear my name get called again. And so many people coming up to me afterward. Great fight, man. This is awesome. Let's get rolling. Um, it was just a very hard moment, a very deep moment when you don't think you're ever going to make it back there again. So that was a very very big match. It's bigger than any title opportunity I've ever had. Uh, just because no one thought I was going to do it again. Uh,
Right, right. Wow.
so
Congratulations, man.
thank you.
That's a journey, that emotional journey. Wow, that's a story.
Yeah.
um, so I'm just gonna ask. I know the answer to this question, I believe, but I just want to ask for the fans: MMA versus wrestling. Obviously, wrestling is predetermined. MMA is not.
Correct.
So, it, by far, none. Right? That's
I wish it was predetermined. I wish that me and him could talk a little bit, be like, I'm going to beat you tonight. But in reality, that's not a fact. We're not talking about it. Just that's what I'm planning on doing, and that's what he's planning on doing. So yeah, definitely no predeterminedness in there. I wish.
so. What about the showdowns like you see at Bellator, you see up at UFC between those guys? Is that real legit shit against each other? They really hate each other that much?
They hate each other leading up to the fight. I did not like one opponent I had until after we were done. You got to have that animosity and that
Okay.
thing where you're not buddy buddy. You're going out there to hurt each other. Someone can get hurt. Someone can die. But afterward, you have the warrior spirit, man. Like you two just went to war together. There's no reason for hostility unless something happened to you guys or something was illegally done. It was all blatant. I've had a beer with every guy I fought afterward. I had to fight an ex teammate, and that was a tough one for me to do because I'm like, dude, he knows me. I know him. Like, this is gonna be tough. And unfortunately, I lost that one via split decision many years ago. And I'll tell you right now, that's still the most controversial loss I have. Um,
Okay.
I don't think anyone thinks I lost that fight, and I still this day, I'll show a referee that I don't know that judges fights and goes, "How'd you not win this fight?" I go, "I don't know." I'm still trying to figure it out. But yeah, there's no talking. We are mad at each other. We're trying to hurt each other. And as long as nobody takes it too far, at the end of the show, we will shake hands. We'll have a beer. We'll enjoy the time together because we just went to war. And I still talk to every opponent that I've had, and it's been 17 years. So.
Now, do you ever rub elbows with the UFC guys like Conor McGregor or anybody like that? You ever get a chance to be at those guys?
I do. I bump into these guys all the time. Back when Quentin Rampage Jackson was a huge deal, he used to come to the gym and train. I trained regularly with Clay Guida. I've met Uriah Faber during his prime. Unlike most others, though, these guys are just other fighters to me. Like I don't get the awe, the starstruckness. It's awesome what they do, but in my head, I'm a worker too. I take the same thing in wrestling. I respect the veterans that have been there, but at the end of the day, I'm doing this as well. I show respect
absolutely.
and I show respect and I want respect. And a lot of times I'm understanding that I'm the new guy. I got to go out there and prove it. I have no problem proving why I deserve the respect.
Absolutely, absolutely. So now, is there still hope that you could ever have another MMA fight?
I have not officially retired just yet.
Okay.
I am considered semi-retired. To be honest, as I started this wrestling journey, I did not know how it was going to go. I didn't know if I was actually going to fully love it the way I do. I didn't know if I was going to walk away after one or two tries. Um, it's blown up more than I thought, and I should be actually getting ready for a fight sometime now. I was planning on being back in the MMA world now, and with things going the way they are, it's very difficult to do both. Um, and I don't want to interfere with the direction I'm going in the professional wrestling world. But I can promise there will be an actual retirement match. Everyone thought the February one was going to be it. Uh, if I lost, I probably would have done it. But I do want to be able to go in the cage one more time as a warrior, put my gloves in the ring, and tell everybody thank you for all the amazing years of doing this, because that sport really changed my life, and it put me on a direction that I needed to be for myself and for the family.
So if you had one guy that you wanted to fight, one guy, that's your last match to put those gloves in that ring, who would that guy be?
Ah, I mean, if I'm even to take the loss,
Yeah.
I would love to fight Conor McGregor.
Right.
I think the way he fights, my style matches with him to where I can at least make it competitive enough. And the amount of money you're going to get just to taste Conor McGregor,
Right.
I gladly would lose as fast as we need to get this done. But at the same time, I really think my styles match because I'm not a traditional wrestler. I'm not a traditional striker. He is. I'm very good at defense, and I'm very good at breaking up traditional striking because I don't know how to back up. When I was always fighting, people hated it. I'm the guy you hit, and he's still walking towards you, and you're like, "What do I do next?" Because he's not stopping. Like he's
Right.
literally like a Terminator walking at me while I'm punching him in the face, and I just don't care. That's the strategy I developed, and it works.
That's
I'm a
awesome, man.
grinder.
That's
So,
awesome. So one last question about the MMA. What is your thoughts on I'm gonna get this one wrong, but on Jake Paul and him fighting.
all
I mean, of him
right.
fighting boxers that aren't boxers and whatever. Is
I'm
that
glad.
okay for the business or is that
Look,
not?
I'm glad to be on a platform as yours to be able to finally say this
Fine, shoot.
because I say this all the time.
That's what we are. That's what we're here
I
for.
I think Jake Paul is an absolute joke. I respect him as a boxer more than his brother Logan. I think Logan is an absolute joke at boxing, and I'm glad he retired. That man does not need to be in the boxing ring. To think that he actually hurt Floyd Mayweather on a slip roll is amazing to me. And I don't know what kind of striking this man is doing, but good. Go be in professional wrestling where you've kind of learned a lot. You've done amazing things, but you're only in WWE right now, not just because your athleticism, but because you have a major brand. You have one of the largest followings in the world. And that's all they're going after. They were going after his following. Does it take away from any athleticism in the ring for him? Absolutely not. I think that he is phenomenal in the ring, but I think the only reason he's there is because of his following. Otherwise, he would have to go through the channels like everyone else. His brother Jake is at least trying to box. The man is learning the skill set. The man needs, though, to learn his place. And I'm calling him a man. I know I'm older than him, too. I can call him a boy if I want to. But he needs to learn the fact that he is fighting non-boxer MMA fighters, retired, guys that don't know how to properly stand up. The two boxers he fought with, the one actually he fought Fury, and KSI had to fell to him as well. They are fighting a real boxer that knows how to play the boxing game. It's a different style of stand-up boxing. MMA boxing is totally different than boxing. And I learned that the hard way when going against a boxer, and I keep my guard up, waiting for him to come at me. And next, he's behind me. And I'm like, what just happened? I was just blocking. It is totally different game. I need him to fight more boxers before I can truly respect him as a fighter. He has the potential, and I need him to get in his lane because he is calling out Conor. Conor is one of the few MMA guys that can transition to boxing and look good. Silva's another. He looked really good, but he's old. He's older. He looked good. But he's calling out Canelo. And my mind is blown. I think I could stand up to Canelo. Bro, I've been doing this longer than you. I can't even last around with Canelo. Canelo's going to knock me out in the first 5 minutes of this whole thing. Like, what are you doing? So I need him to check himself. I know he's getting views. I know this is why he's doing all this stuff. I'm not about views. I'm not about clicks. I just want you to be real. And I stop being this fake dude. You should realize, get in your lane. You're doing well, but actually box boxers, please. Yeah. Simple as that.
As far as Logan goes, you're right. My butts and seats, man. What styles?
That's it. And where was he at Survivor Series?
Yeah, right.
I didn't see the U.S. title online.
No. And you talk about fake. You talk about that brings me. I just randomly just thought of this. One of my biggest problems with people on TikTok, for instance, all these creators, all these wrestling creators. I said this afternoon on the podcast. I'll say it again. Everybody knew Randy Orton was coming back.
100%.
If you didn't know it, you're dumb.
God, he looked good last night, too.
Yes, he did. Everybody should have known that CM Punk was going to be back. Hell, we're in Chicago.
I literally told people that. They're like, oh, there's this much of a chance. Right. I was watching everyone comment. There's like, this is a chance that he's in Chicago. I'm like, there's 1,000% chance in Chicago because he lives here.
Right. So
he could just drive to the stadium.
When you have guys that are, and I'll probably catch all kinds of heat for this. I don't care. No. This is what I do.
Let's do it.
We set ourselves apart from them for this reason. And somebody said this on TikTok the best. You know who's going to be there. You knew it. There's so many dirt sheets out there. But to 100%. Give me this, oh my God!
Oh, yeah, they're just acting like they didn't know on there.
Come on, I'm like, what?
You know what? It's crazy. I have not had a legit surprise. And now you having done this longer than me, I had not had a legit surprise since The Rock returning after 7 years being announced as the guest for WrestleMania. That was the last time before the internet really sucked me in, and I knew every time someone was coming back and there was no more surprising. But that night still to me is one of the largest pops in all of wrestling because nobody knew. I don't think anybody saw that coming that night. He had just been gone for so long.
Right. I popped big. I'm a Sting guy, so I popped big.
Oh, that one, yeah.
When he showed up in WWE ring, and there's Seth Rollins going, "Oh shit."
I just wasn't expecting that. Like, oh my God.
Then SummerSlam, I think it was SummerSlam, when Bayley came out with and had Damage Control. When
they came back out last. Oh my gosh.
Cool. That was cool.
Since Triple H has taken over, he has set up so many great returns. Yes. It's still just a shame, rest in peace, Bray Wyatt. We didn't get to see the end of what that was going because he truly was a character visionary. Right. And I think he was one of the best things in wrestling going for years.
I had to bring that up about the over exaggerating because of what you said. And it's just all over. But okay, I get it. Be excited.
Yeah.
And I get why they do it because they want to get fans, they want to get clicks, they want to get followers. I don't have many followers, maybe because I don't I don't scream at the mic when I know something's going to happen. Again, I do it because this is self-care for me. I
Yeah.
do care about fans and followers. Heck, yeah, I'd love to have followers, but you know what? I'll get there someday. I'm not
If
going
you're
to over.
doing it the right way, you're
I'm
not
not going to
breaking
I'm not
your
going to overreact or
values.
fake it. There's not even.
Oh my
There's
gosh,
no
yeah.
reason to.
No, was it cool though? Now, fun story with that one. I actually turned off Survivor Series right when I saw the little box on the end, and they were cheering in the ring, and my TV glitched, and I walked in the other room and spent some time with the wife afterward. And I came back. The TV glitches as it was coming off, and I'm like, was that Colt? No. And then I come back like an hour later, and my buddy's on my phone. CM Punk's back in WWE. I'm like, God, okay. I have a history with Phil. Me and him, I don't even think he cares about me anymore. Like years ago, our circles met. I never really cared for him. I tried to get him in Midwest Training Center. He was trying to do the MMA thing. He shunned me off. I felt like we could have gotten him a victory at least in the MMA world. And he just disrespected us, disrespected the gym. Traveled all the way from here, all the way to Milwaukee every day to train. It was crazy. And then as a wrestler too, I think it didn't help that when I met him when I was 18, my mom decided to tell him I was going to take his belt from him one day. So hopefully he keeps in WWE for a while I make my way up.
There you go. But now, yeah, that's awesome. So before we get, I know this is your show, this is your time. I apologize, but we did talk. You do CM Punk.
Yeah.
Do you feel that was wrong of Triple H to bring back Randy Orton the way he did, which I think that was right? But you think it overshadowed the point and took away from Randy Orton's moment when CM Punk showed up?
Yes, I do. I understand what they were doing. It was Chicago. I think because they were teasing what could have been one of them. He claims it was last minute. I don't believe anything's last minute. That it wasn't a thing until everything was speculation. No, there was something in the works. You knew something was in the works. You brought Randy back. Randy looks amazing. Does all this cool stuff. Helps the victory. And next thing you know, Punk comes back at the very end. Like I think we could have done this somewhere else in the show. Just somewhere different. I think we would have been golden there. But yeah, and then have him come out like that. I was worried there was going to be a Bray Wyatt situation where the show's ending, and then next thing you know, oh, here's your debut return. It's like, come on, dude. But it's hard because him and Phil weren't like friends. They didn't like each other, and Orton was his guy. Like literally was part of Evolution. So I agree with you on that one.
So Joe pops in.
Really? Okay.
You have to work more than one show to make it up.
Says the guy that's worked one show with me. Okay. Pretty sure I've been destroying the indies in the last 5 months while he's come in one time. So yeah.
So so who inspired you to become a professional wrestler?
Goldberg was the big one. Watching Austin, I've always been attracted to that dominant mentality of those guys. So the guys you would call the alphas of the businesses. I've liked that idea. Surprisingly, what really gets me going is who's got some of the best promos together. Those video packages, man, just get me hyped up. And I was always just wanting to do certain moves on buddies and friends and do them actually in professional wrestling. I was working, and I have to be careful with this because I was working on doing a sweet chin music to start an MMA match. Like legit, just blasting the dude right in the face and seeing what happens when I come out of the corner that way. And now I got to be careful because now I'm trying to do super kicks and I don't want to put out the guy I'm working with.
Nice.
But being the fan, being the hero to kids like Goldberg was, he was one of my biggest inspirations going in there. Seeing Undertaker and Sting's dedication was huge for me. Austin just being that just level badass. Oh my God, yes. All that stuff was cool. And then having the charisma like The Rock. Like those guys all inspired me. I was a Hogan fan, surprisingly. It tends to get shaken under the rug with me just because of how he was all the time. Right. You hear all those stories like, oh God, I like this guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay.
You talked already about training comparison from MMA to wrestling. So yes. We'll go past that. So I know we talked off air about this, but what's the story behind the wrestling character, the Apex?
So Apex, there was another names we were coming up with when we were doing this, and I own a supplement nutrition store called Apex Nutrition. Now, fun story is for my gamer friends out there, I got the name for that. Wanting to go home and play Apex Legends for the night. I needed to come up with a name. I said, "I'm gonna go play Apex." I'm like, "Oh, that's the name." Well, we kept going over stuff. I think my fight nickname was Doomsday, and it was because I never could be beaten by the same move twice, and I was so dominant in my weight class that I thought that was a fitting name, and it was gamer tag for years. People called me Doom, so I was like, we rolled with it, and we had a character name with that. And one of the promoters looks at me and goes, "Apex Nutrition." He's like, "Apex." Is anyone named Apex? Just Apex by themselves? There's Apex Predator. There's all this other stuff. Has anyone just been called Apex? We sat there. No. I started driving home that night and messaged Hunter Payne. I was like, "Hey, what do you think about me just going by Apex? Like I already feel like I'm an Apex Predator. I feel like I'm the top guy. My slogan is in a world of alphas, I've become the Apex because everyone's trying to be an alpha male. I don't want to be an alpha male. I want to be the Apex. I want to be the dominant one. I want to be the one that everyone fears." And he's like, "Well, if that's the name you want. I like it. Like I think we roll with that. And then I'm gonna show everybody why I earned that name." And we
Nice,
kept it. And it's part of me.
nice. So, how do you prepare physically and mentally for an upcoming match going forward?
I'm a loner. I like to be. I know, like in the industry, we have. We have. Sorry, I just saw Joey. Yeah, yeah, okay. Well, when you get back, Mr. Bam Bam, we can definitely have a match, and I'll help you out with that problem you got there. Um, but I like to, I listen to music. I go into a corner. People used to have to come find me for an MMA match because I was always by myself. Like we were supposed to be hitting mitts, something to warm up, and I did, but I was always in a corner just thinking. You get that look in your eye. So after I'm done talking with who I need to work with for the night, I go ahead and I find that spot. I just listen to my music and just run through the entirety of what I want to work on for tonight, how this is going to work out, anything that we've gone over, um, and it's trying to get into that fight mindset while also reminding myself that this is a dance partner, um, not an opponent. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I'm the one that's got to worry about carrying you. You are a little bit bigger than me, so.
I can see where this is going to go. It's going to set up. So, what would you consider your biggest win so far in your young wrestling career?
So I got the honor of my debut match being chosen by Odinson the Breaker. He was getting ready to retire from SCW and professional wrestling, and he did two final matches. July, he did a tag team match, and then in June, I was his last singles match.
Okay.
I debuted that night, and he was the first one to fall to the ripcord spear. It was a big moment for me. Um, that one I would say was one of my favorites. And then there was a great wrestler that was up and coming that came up from Tennessee at SFC South Wrestling Federation, SWF. There we go. Down there in Tennessee, his name's Goth Knight. He was coming up. He'd just been training for a while. We were around the same time. The match that me and him put together, with both of us being so new to the business, at WrestleTopia for us, which was our WrestleMania, that was huge for me. Um, got to showcase skills of what happens when I'm not in there with another veteran. Like Joey Bam Bam down there is talking about carrying me through the match. We carried each other through that match, and it was great. The crowd loved it. It was definitely a huge moment for me. And then I immediately hopped up on the ropes after that match, and I looked at our general manager and I demanded a title shot. I think I'd earned it at that point with how many veterans I've gone with
Right.
already. So that would probably be one of my biggest ones. We did have an honorary battle royal that night at WrestleTopia as well, where a good friend of ours at the training center who I got to help put him over to get the big victory, and I got to hand him the title, and it meant a lot to show him that respect because he definitely earned it from me.
Right. Well, I didn't mean to disrespect anything like that, but let's go back for a quick second.
Go for it.
Training school. Where did you train? Who was your trainers? Just quick shout out.
I'm at SCW Training School down in Memphis, Illinois. Hunter Payne and James Creed are my two main trainers right now. Uh, they are phenomenal. I learned though from every veteran I go with, but those two other guys are really putting me through this, and they'll tell you straight up. I don't know how much they're teaching me because every time they show me something, I've got it down so fast and I love it. But at the same time, there's certain things I'm still not haven't done yet, and that includes a lot of top rope work. But Apex doesn't go to the top rope; he just doesn't.
Awesome. So let's go to the bucket list.
Yes.
Matches you want to have.
We got at SCW currently. We have the current champion is Aaron Xavier. I know me and him have been talking about possibly colliding sometime soon. We were supposed to do that in August. Unfortunately, scheduling conflicts got in the way for me to be able to wrestle him in that one. A big one for me, and I'm hoping this to be very soon, and I hope he gets to win the title next month, is James Creed. The man is something else in the ring. They call him the sharpshooter for a reason. I've learned a lot from him, but at the same time, I want to spear him and I want to take the belt from him. So that would be my bucket list officially, would be me and him for the SCW Heavyweight Championship.
So Apex versus Creed for the championship.
Yeah.
That's a call out.
That's
I don't know.
one.
Creed, I don't know if you're listening or watching, if you're pay it back, but Apex just challenged you to the championship belt. So you got to win that belt first.
He's got to win that belt. He's got to win that belt. So I hope he does that. Otherwise, also too, according to the stipulations, if he does not, we have a new boss starting in January, as Terry Allen will have to step down as the SCW president. I think he has to do that anyway to get him the title. But if Xavier wins, he gets to name our new boss, and that's terrifying. That's terrifying.
What promotion would you like to wrestle before it's over?
I want to definitely get into NWA. I would love to try them to get to the a weekly episode of content like that they have. Billy Corgan's built something over there. They're gonna be considered the big leagues. Like anybody else, though, before I hang it, I kill to make it to the big show like AEW or WWE just for one match. I said the same thing when it came to the UFC. If I was gonna retire, if I only made it there one time, I would success, because I did not do what some of these other guys do. I didn't quit my jobs. I didn't quit and give up on everything. I wasn't living out of my car. I don't have those cool stories. I'm a guy that literally worked, sponsored himself, and trained every day to make sure that I can get to that next level. And that's what I'm doing now. I don't have sponsors. I don't have backup. I don't have a manager. It's just Apex. And Apex is doing exactly what he can do. Beat people up.
Awesome. What arena would you like to wrestle in before?
I would love to fight, take a match, anything in the United Center. House of Jordan built, man. Place is huge. The amount of people that you can have in there, that'd be so cool. That would be cool.
Is there any memorable, funny, behind the scenes stories, locker room or car rides or anything like that you can share?
I had no idea that a match was going on backstage at the last show. The match spilled out into the back. I just randomly started hearing yelling, and I don't know what was going on. And one of the guys, VJ Price, was chasing a member of Dysfunction, Kyle. They were in the middle of a tag team championship match, I guess it was, and they went back there, and I was so confused, and I was like, "What?" I thought I was going to go in and have to break something up, and at the last second, I realized they were having a match. I was like, oh God. I'm
Nice,
so
nice,
sorry, man. I'm sorry. I didn't know what was going on. I was terrified.
nice.
So that was probably one of the funniest moments we've had so far in my short time. That would be it. A lot of travel. I mean, I live nearby. I haven't had too many travel stories yet. I know when I start venturing out in some other promotions, they've already been in contact with me. I definitely will probably have a little bit more of the fun on-road experience and stories that everyone talks about.
All
So
right, man. We'll have to have you back on. So, um, advice for up and coming MMA fighters and wrestlers. What would you say the biggest advice you could share with them?
work hard. It's going to be hard. Listen. This is what you have to do. You have to be dedicated. You have to listen. You have to know that you are willing, the opponent has to know you're willing to die to get that victory in MMA. Your partner in the ring needs to know you have their back. So always pay attention, always listen. And if you're not comfortable with something, say it. Say that you're not comfortable. It'll do wonders because the last thing you want to do is get into a spot. We all saw, and it was not even, I mean, he at least came out and said it when Logan Paul was talking about saving Rey Mysterio and how much praise he was getting. He admitted straight up, he goes, I was out of position. If you're not ready for stuff like that, don't do it.
Right. Well, I mean, so Joe said, all joking aside, he wants you are on his bucket list. So
Oof.
that's a major prop to you.
That's a comment. Joe, whenever you get back, brother, I'd be glad to share the ring with you.
We were talking earlier on. We were talking about hitting the spot. The two biggest spots, in my opinion, of the pay per view last night was in the women's match where Charlotte did a backflip off the top of the cage.
Oh, landed directly on Eno's head with her knee. I'm surprised Eno got up.
Right, and then
Oh,
the trash can spot.
I look.
I mean,
I already
that's
have a thing about falling, but now you're gonna tell me to put a trash can on.
that's
I don't
balls.
see anything, and I gotta make sure that everyone down there catches me. Whew, that's some bravery on that one.
Yes,
It was
yes,
really cool, and thank God they all looked out for each other in that spot. Both those
yes.
spots, should I say.
So, how do you handle the balance between your wrestling career and your personal life, especially with the nutrition store that you have?
I get yelled at a lot about that. The nutrition store and owning a business has taken over a huge part of my life, but it has allowed me to make connections in all these industries, whether it is wrestling, fighting, um, just the overall fitness level with all these gyms. The balance is not easy. It's kind of good that I've created kind of like an ecosystem around me of being Apex Nutrition. I am Apex the wrestler. Okay, I am an MMA fighter. Okay, I do train people. I try to keep everything consolidated in. It's more tougher getting the family involved. When you got two little ones and a wife that honestly she's not a huge fan of the stuff. She's my fan, and my number one fan is her. But getting used to having that ability, my wife is a huge part of it because she is the reason why I'm able to balance out this life. I mean, we train 2 days a week. I'll work 10 to 7 at the store on a Tuesday, hop in my car, drive to wrestling. I don't come home till like 12:30, 1 o'clock, and eh, I've just been gone for 14 hours a day, and she's got a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old
Wow,
that
bless her
is
heart.
running her wild at those moments. And the kids love coming to the shows. I mean, my daughter sitting her down, telling her it's a show, that helped out a lot. It was my son, and he's weird. I had the powerhouse that is Logan Steele from POW and at our SCW with us. I wrestled him back in July. It was my second match. He's a 300-pound guy. I couldn't do much on him. My son is excited, yelling, Daddy, Daddy, as I'm getting thrown around by this guy, right? I then wrestle another guy that's my size later in the night, and he's screaming and crying like getting murdered. I'm like, this kid enjoys watching me get thrown around by a guy 3 times my size, but apparently is fearful of anyone my size. Okay, that's interesting to go by.
Nice,
I'm
nice.
like, oh man, he's finally just cheering at all the matches, which is great. But the balance is difficult, guys. It really is out there. You have to figure out there's not many people that hold full-time jobs consistently and able to do this regularly. Some of these guys work hours, but then they take like 10 bookings, like 3 to 4 a weekend. And I'm happy with my 1 to 2 a month if I got them. So it allows me to stay fresh too.
Absolutely. So, what are your thoughts that are changing in the landscape of professional wrestling, including the rise of independent promotions and the influences of social media?
I love the fact that people are out there able to get out there more. You're seeing a lot more independent wrestling, and as I told you earlier, how I had no idea these places were nearby me. It was because of social media being so popular, having some of these other guys coming out there. There's guys I knew that were professional wrestlers, and I've known them for years. And they didn't even tell me. I was like, I'm a fan. You serious? Like I love wrestling. Like why hasn't anybody talked to me about this? So it has a huge benefit until you get in the level of when now it's becoming a clout chasing thing.
Yeah.
And then that's when I have more of an issue with it. Because then some of the stuff that people do tend to give others of the sport a bad taste in their mouth. And we want to protect the sport. We want it to look cool. We want people to want to do it. And we want to bring in all this new talent and get them out there. But at the same time, you got to be careful on what's being put out there and how things are being done. I've seen some wrestlers right now that are popping up on social media, and to be honest, they're doing moves. I'm like, why did you do all that? That
Right.
that was completely unnecessary to get to that move.
Right. Right.
I
Yeah.
don't get it.
Yes. So I've told you earlier before we started that I have a foster parent and I care for 8 kids.
Yes.
So of course you can tell. I mean, I don't keep this hobby a secret. I talk about my podcast all the time. So they said, "Hey, can we ask them some questions?" I said, "Sure."
Of course.
So they're same questions. I'm sure if you watch the show, you've heard the questions before. So, what's your favorite movie?
Warrior, all-time favorite.
Favorite TV show?
Current or
Current, yeah.
let's see here. My honestly, it is Yellowstone.
Perfect. Yeah, I can't wait till that show comes back.
It's only going to be one more season, and then again, I can do the spin-off. It's the
Mhm.
same show, but just without Costner.
Right. Yes. Yeah, crazy. So, books. Do you enjoy reading books?
Not as much. I'm currently reading Goldberg's autobiography again because last time I did it was as a kid. The Halo series was probably one of the only series I've ever gone all the way through, just because so much backstory. And it's one of my all-time favorite video games.
Okay.
I mean, that blew up when I was a kid. So,
That's interesting because I said my next question was video games. What's your favorite video game?
Apex Legends is my current video game. My favorite all-time franchise would be Halo.
Now, do you stream all the time playing games?
I do not stream. I keep telling myself I'm gonna get started. I actually got this cool computer. We got the dual monitors now set up. I got the camera. I just don't stream. I've never been actually like really good enough, I feel, on a play side. But when me and my buddy get together and we play, either we're doing very good at the game or we are just having a great time. I have appeared on some of his streams and became fan favorites, playing Dead by Daylight, where I'm just crying in fear when Nemesis walks in the room and the game just starts. Like, I was like, what do you mean he's right here? And that scared the crap out of me.
My son is my son Cody is a big gamer. He's classic native on all platforms.
Okay.
So check him out. Yeah,
Okay.
classic native out.
I will definitely.
Favorite food?
Pizza is one of my biggest. That's my biggest cheat food. Honestly, I can eat chicken and steak though all day. I don't care when non-bodybuilders say, "How do you just eat chicken all day?" I could eat it in every meal.
Does pineapple belong on pizza?
It does not, but I will love pineapple though.
All right. Favorite cartoon?
Um, I watch a lot of anime, so I guess
Okay,
we'll go with that.
perfect,
Right now it's One Piece, but DBZ has definitely been one of my favorites.
awesome. So, do you acknowledge the tribal chief?
I do, and fun story is I acknowledge him so much that my current fantasy team for football this year is called Acknowledge Your Daddy. And every week that I win, and I had 9 straight victories to start the year off, I send every opponent the gif of acknowledge me.
Okay. Your college football team or
I do not watch enough college. I'm a diehard Bears fan.
okay.
I was shocked yesterday. I think yesterday I was watching Ohio State Michigan. I was shocked.
Go blue? I'm a Michigan fan.
I mean, Michigan was more of my team. My buddy, it turns out that I worked with at Amazon, he was Ohio State fan. I had no idea. So when we drafted Justin Fields, he lost his mind. I lost his mind because the Bears drafted a quarterback. So
Right.
I was just excited.
All right. Well, I'm a Detroit Lions fan. I'm so sorry that they beat you guys a couple weeks
Hey,
ago.
it is what it is. That's just one
That
more
was a
reason to
good
fire
game.
my coaching. They
That was
gotta
a good
go.
game, though. Yeah.
I always tell everybody every year the Lions are going to shock people, and finally they're doing it.
That's right. So future goals, man. If you how has your wrestling career impacted the I'm sorry, no. Do you have any dream opponents you want to fight above all? Like do you want to go Sting? Do you want
I want to step in the ring with Punk.
yeah.
I really want to step in the ring with him. So I hope he sticks around a little bit longer this time than he has in the last few times. I'm ready to finally have me and him have that conversation face to face, and I'm ready to put on a show with him and earn the respect that I feel I deserve from him.
Okay. So let's talk about fans. So how important are the fans to you at an event, at a meet and greet, wherever?
I couldn't do this without him. I feed off the crowd. I did it in MMA. I still do it now, and I think that's why a lot of people said that I look so natural in a wrestling ring compared to the MMA cage, and it's because I get to interact with the fans more. I get to have fun. I love coming out for intermission. At WrestleTopia was the first time everyone was coming up to me for autographs and pictures.
That's awesome.
My family's there, and they just kept like, "Hey, we got to back up," like every single time. And I had so many people come. I'm like, "You do not have to apologize. Come on over here. It's all good." The one thing I definitely need to get them is merchandise. I've had so many fans come up to me and say, "When are you making shirts? When are you getting stuff?" I am working on it. It is just something difficult for me to come up with when I'm not great at graphic design. But I have the ideas in my head. So once those
Yeah,
happen, all my fans will be able to get my shirts. But I I feed off them.
that's
They
awesome,
help
man.
give me energy.
That's awesome. So, is there any memorable moment with interaction between a fan during a match, or even or whatever?
So it wasn't directly with me, but grandma, Apex's grandma, went at Scott Spade and the Torture Killers after our last match. Unfortunately, after reviewing the tape, I was hit in the head with a steel chain. Um, so I guess Spade realized that he was not going to get the best of me that night, and the new young buck was going to take that victory. So he had to cheat, and my grandmother took it personally and tried to storm the ring and assist me. So there have been calls for grandma to tag with me coming up
Nice,
to save
nice.
that. So that was one of the coolest fan interactions out there. I do also get a lot, and it makes me laugh, and I give it all time. I've had so many fans at every wrestling show I go to go, "Are you Orange Cassidy?"
Wow.
Like, are you serious? Like, after a while, I was like, dude, some people are messing with me, and then everyone starts looking at me at different shows, like, dude, you do look like Orange
All you
Cassidy
gotta
right
do
now.
is
I'm
just
like,
go like that.
yeah, get the thumbs up. I stick my hands in the pockets. I just gotta wear the glasses. I mean, if I want, I have an instant Halloween costume right
There you go. There you go. Must be right.
there. Yes.
So MMA wrestling. So you could. I mean, we talked about the differences between those. What is the misconception of the business that makes people question if what you guys do is fake?
The fact that they think it's fake, this stuff hurts. It takes a lot of training to get to this level. I hate the term that it's fake. There's nothing fake. There is a difference between a work move and a not work move. I have learned, and I'm still learning, on how to work strike in wrestling compared to knocking out the guy I'm supposed to be working with. It is a crazy thing where I get nervous. I had one guy in training with me. I pulled the punch, I opened the hand, I caught him on the side of his jaw, and his jaw hurt for 3 weeks. I I have been traumatized since that moment, and I even told him, I go, I pulled that punch. And he goes, "That's the scary part." I'm like, "Yes." So you got to realize that we teach each other how to do this to make it look cool,
Mhm.
but doesn't make it fake. It's definitely real. So many of these weapons, I thought I was like, okay, so there's a different one we hit each other with this chair, right?
Mhm.
No, what do you mean? There's not a work chair? No, there's not a work chair. That's a real steel fucking chair. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's interesting to know. So yeah, guys, like I got slammed so hard. I think I was pissing blood this past weekend at the last show for luckily only for 5 hours, but it's not fake. It
Yeah.
definitely is just trained on how to do it safely.
We were talking earlier with even Joe was on in the podcast. We were talking with Sin, and we're talking Survivor Series, and the topic of Gunther came up with his chops.
Oh, so when you get to know me, that is the one thing I hate. These guys see it um all the time, like my face. That's probably the one time I think I've ever really broken any character is getting chopped. Now the good thing is I only do that in training, but I hate being chopped. And I see him being chopped. I don't know, it's something to do with an open hand. I would rather get punched in the face repetitively with a closed fist than get chopped across the chest or get smacked. It's something about it. It bugs me. I don't like it. But it's part of the business. And I mean, I've had my chest just bright red in the middle
Right.
of a match with Dorado because he's got me with three good ones. I don't know if I can handle a Gunther chop at this point in my career. I feel like that would be something I have to really build up to. And
Right.
thank God I've got some time.
Right on. Right on. So this is probably one of my favorite questions to ask. How important is brotherhood in the business of professional wrestling, and what does brotherhood mean to you?
It means a lot. Um, this when you're with people for as long as you are when it comes to training or working or being on the road, it's very important that that group acts like a family. My MTC family for fighting, they have still had my back throughout this. I get messages all the time, even though I haven't been up there with them all year. And they're messaging me, watching my stuff, like, dude, you look like you belong. This is awesome. If anyone's gonna make it, it's you. And I'm just like, dude, like I haven't even talked to you in 6 months. So I appreciate it when you lose friends and you lose other aspects of family life when you are on the road doing this, when you're constantly training. They're the only people you're around more than your own family. I think I'm like a third of the time I'm with my wife, two-thirds of the time I'm with these guys. So it's very important because at the same time you want that family dynamic. You want to trust each other. You want to be competitive with each other. And you have to know that you're safe with that person in the ring. And the only way to develop that is through of that family dynamic because they're going to watch your back just like you're going to watch theirs. So it's very important to me because that's one of the reasons why I was in sports like this is to have that constant camaraderie. And
Awesome.
without it, I know I'll miss it.
Awesome. Second part of the question is, what does it mean to you by the words "pay your dues back to the business"?
Helping out whenever you can, teaching. I got to pay a lot of those dues in MMA to where when I came back being gone, I was now the veteran. And it was weird because all the guys that were there before me that taught me and helped me were all long gone. They either retired, they moved on, they're doing whatever they're doing, and I kept coming back. So I got to now pass my knowledge on to the next person. When it comes into the business itself, I always, even though I'm new, I tend to lead and I like to be a locker room leader. And it's making sure everybody is helping with ring. I missed that show in August to be able to wrestle. And I still showed up though to help set up the ring. I was like, I thought you weren't gonna be here. I was like, nah, I'm coming for this, guys. I'm not gonna leave you out for here. I gotta go. I gotta leave in a little bit, but I'm at least gonna help you out with this. And the fact most of the guys said they respected me more for that. It changed everything compared to just not showing up at all and not giving a damn about what they're doing. Um, I learned everything I can because you never know when you're going to have to step up and be that way. So uh, pay your dues, show your respect, learn what you can, and pay it forward. Um, it's just it's part of the business. It's how you gain that respect and that traction everywhere you go.
I cover a independent wrestling scene over down here in Panama City Beach called XIW.
Mm,
and I've been to the show early to set up the podcast booth, etc. And you see guys like the big guys, Damian Wayne, Jackson Slade, Vordell Walker, Adrian Whisper, everybody, those guys come, and guess who's setting up the ring? Those guys are.
Yep.
They get there the show's at 5 in the afternoon. They're there at 11.
Yep. Same thing for us.
And they stay till 1 o'clock. They stay 1 o'clock in the morning, tear it down, so, and they thrive on it. And then that gets them, so that's why I got a kind of an understanding about paid dues and stuff like that. So we reached our hour. I got one last question. This is your time.
Yes.
Apex, is there anything else you would like to tell the HPWP fans or your fans or your future competitors? It's your time. Tell us where we can find you. Tell us what you have planned next, and if you have to throw out warning shots, throw them out, and then I'll play an exit song. But don't leave the area. Stay with me, okay?
All right. So, guys, as he said, I am Apex. You can find me with SCW, Southland Championship Wrestling. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook. Constant updates. We have weekly videos going out. That's where you can watch all my matches currently. I'm hoping to be working with POW Wrestling as well this year. They were the next company that have reached out to me. Also, love to try out for NWA. Now that they got territories coming, hopefully they'll bring in one nearby soon. So I do have a lot of plans to expand more after this first year of learning the business with SCW. And God, man, I couldn't have landed in a better place to learn this stuff. These guys really do care about you, and they really do figure it out. So if you are interested in professional wrestling, hit me up on our social medias. I'm The Apex on Facebook. Otherwise, it's Pro Wrestler Apex on Instagram, guys. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me. But we would love other wrestlers coming on in. My biggest thing is that this indie scene, everyone needs to understand that I am the top of the food chain for a reason. I came into this business. I created a move that no one's ever done before, that no one's ever seen, that no one even thought was possible because of the way it was described. And it's high impact, and I can hit it on anybody, and I can hit it out of nowhere. So be prepared for that. Every SCW champion, you're on notice. POW, when I get there, the same thing goes for you guys. I am the top of the food chain for a reason. Keep being the alphas you think you are. And at the end of the day, you're just prey.
Let's go. Joe Hagelin says, in your dreams.
Well,
Christian Rose would kill you. So I'll let you answer that, and then we'll close the show.
I guess I got to call out Christian Rose then, and show little Joey Bam Bam there that he's wrong. And the good thing about my dreams is they always seem to come true. So I guess it is in my dreams.
Huge Spot Wrestling fans, you heard it from the top of the food chain, Apex. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
It was a great time with you. Thank you for all the information. That was good, awesome stuff. Thank you, Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast. The people that are online still with me, please hit the subscribe and follow button. Help build the community. Keep in contact with what Huge Pop is doing, and there's lots to come. So thank you, guys. Thank you, Apex, and we love you guys.
All my dogs, make some noise up in this house. Who is in the house? Who is in the house? It's the gangster of destruction, so you know what's going down. And when the drive-by's coming, then you better hit the grind. Cause when your body hits the canvas, then your head is knocked out. Who is in the house? Who is in the house? It's the gangster of destruction, so you know what's going down. And when the drive-by's coming, then you better hit the grind. Cause when your body hits the canvas, then your head is knocked out. Fight with Adrian Whisper is like a fight with the devil, because when he's dealing with you, you cannot get on this level. Fight with Adrian Whisper is like a fight with a king. It's like a fight with an army. They got the tanks and everything. He's leaving bruises and stitches, possibly leaving you crippled. Cause when he sets up the table and sends you straight through the middle. 6 sadistic free, beat that ass with a light bulb. Leave a piece of glass embedded in the back of your skull. Who is in the house? Who is in the house? It's the gangster of destruction, so you know it's going down. And when the drive-by's coming, then you better hit the ground. Cause when your body hits the canvas, then your ass is knocked out. Who is in the house? Who is in the house? It's the gangster of destruction, so you know it's going down. And when the drive